Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Oceana. I am going to be sharing some Christian fiction recommendations specifically for teenagers. I've had a couple requests over the years, months-ish for a video like this just because I know a lot of parents and grandparents watch my videos and they're trying to find recommendations for their children and grandchildren. So I will do my best to recommend some solid books for younger readers. So for teenagers, I'm thinking basically 13 to 18-ish. And everyone is different. Every teenager can handle different amounts of content. So I will try to be pretty specific about the content that is in these books, and you can make the discernment decision if it's a good pick for the person in your life. I'm also not saying that if you are not a teenager, you will not enjoy these books, because I did, and that's why I'm recommending them. So not all of these are YA specific, but some of them are. So I will let you know. And I'm switching it up and sitting in my little book corner. So hello. So I'll start with all of the young adult specific books, and then I will share the adult books that I think teenagers would also like. So I've shared about this trilogy in particular quite a bit, but the Delusion trilogy by Laura Gallier, this is a YA trilogy. It follows a boy who, he's in grade 12 in the first book, and then he does graduate and he's not in grade 12 anymore, so I guess he's like 18, 19 in the rest of the books. But basically this is a spiritual warfare specific kind of book, so definitely discern if that is something that your child, I don't want to say child, but your teenager can handle, because it does talk about like seances and like demon summoning, demon worship, cults, stuff like that. So, you know, but the light and Jesus and God wins. But it's definitely like you see a battle going on, and when you're following this character, he struggles a lot. So he has a lot of like doubt. He's not a Christian at the beginning, so it's definitely kind of his come to faith story, which personally I found really inspiring. Okay, next I would recommend Fawkes by Nadine. I didn't personally enjoy this book, but only because it was too fantasy for me. Basically the magic was like very confusing for me, but it is like a YA book. You follow these young characters in this society, and it is kind of a Christian allegory story. So if magic kind of freaks you out, this kind of magic was color based, so it wasn't like magic from within, you know? It was based on these masks and color wielding, kind of. So it's also set in a historical setting, historical England, and it is following the gunpowder plot for Guy Fawkes. It's a real historical story. So yeah, you follow actually technically the son of Guy Fawkes, and he is figuring himself out, and there is magic in it. So I do think a lot of people would like this book, because a lot of people did. I just am not really a fantasy person, so if the person in your life is a fantasy person, they might like this book. Okay, next, I would consider this Christian fiction because, I mean, there's just so much faith in it that I don't know if Nicholas Sparks meant for this to be a Christian fiction, but anyways, this is The Last Song, and this is YA, and this is, I think this is some of Nicholas Sparks's best work. Not that I've read a ton of his books, I've only read a handful, but this is by far my favorite one because the faith and like the family was so good in this one. I really think that a lot of young people would like this book. I almost feel like non-Christian and Christian teens would like this book because, I mean, there is a movie about it. Miley Cyrus is in it, and I think that's what made it popular. And I really liked the movie, but the book has a lot of faith in it. The movie basically didn't have much. There were some parts they couldn't not put in there, like him being in the church and stuff, but this book has so much faith in it, and it's really encouraging. It is a little bit sadder, so if your teenager gets triggered by death or grief of any kind to do with parents, then definitely be aware. But I just thought the message and the story was so good, and there is a lot of strong faith in this book too. It is a romance, but it's clean, but there is scenes of teenagers drinking. So if that worries you, just be aware of that. I thought it was excellent though. I thought it was a really good story, so I'd recommend it. Okay, on to adult recommendations. First, All That Really Matters by Nicole Deese. I feel like a teenager would like this book. I mean, particularly a female teenager, just because it follows a like beauty influencer, and she like makes YouTube videos. She makes YouTube videos about beauty and makeup and hair and all of that. And she is trying to become the host of a new show, but her resume isn't quite enough for the show to take her on. So she needs to like add some community service to her resume. And her brother happens to be a pastor. And so she asks him like, are there any like charities that I can volunteer at or anything to like, you know, boost my resume? And so she gets connected to this youth house that takes in homeless youth, or just youth that are like having trouble and either addicted to something or just homeless. And so she ends up meeting the main director guy of that house and like convinces him to let her volunteer. And it's the story, like it's their romance, but then it's also her character development of like letting go of the image that she's trying to uphold and just kind of reevaluating her values. And then there is really strong faith in this book as well. Definitely some harder topics covered and like some difficult scenes with these youth at the house, but such a solid message through all of it. I think a teenager would really like this book and get a lot out of it, so I'd recommend it. Okay, I forgot a YA recommendation to give because I don't own the book anymore, but it's called Anomaly by Krista McGee. So this is a trilogy, and I didn't really like the next two books in the trilogy, but the first book was really solid. And you know, other people might like the rest of the trilogy, so I would say like it would be worth trying. But yeah, Anomaly, this follows a dystopian world where World War III happened and all of like humanity had to move underground. So you follow this society that's underground, and they have like figured out how to do genetic manipulation. So they basically create babies. Babies don't have to be born anymore. They can just be created, and they are like genetically modified to have certain skills. And so you follow one girl who is modified to be a musician, and she starts to feel something when she plays music, and she doesn't know what it is. And then she ends up meeting like an old guy, and he introduces her to God and says like, hey, that feeling that you feel, like peace and joy when you're playing music, like that comes from God, because he is your creator and he's who you're playing to, and he gave you those skills and the skill with music. And so she's like, oh, I think I believe that, but she like doesn't understand because there's no religion in this society. It was like so unique and different, and like the whole faith aspect was really good in this first book. I just didn't like where the plot went in book 2 and 3, and then I really didn't like how it ended. I thought book 3 was a mess. I didn't like the villain. I didn't like how any of it went, so that was a total letdown. But so book 1 is my favorite. I still would say it's worth it to give it a try, and I think, you know, teenagers would like it a lot. Okay, that's really it. I don't really read books that I would say like are perfect for teenagers. I don't read YA that often, especially not Christian YA, and I'm just more of an adult reader. So really these are my best recommendations right now. We'll see if I end up reading anything else. But for now, these are the books that I would feel comfortable recommending to a teenager. There are other books that I've read that I'm sure teenagers would enjoy, but I'm trying to keep it Christian and then also pretty, I don't know, light, but at the same time like deep. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, you guys. I'll write all the books down below. And if you have any recommendations to add to my list, feel free to put them in the comments. So yeah, okay, thank you for watching, you guys. Bye. Notifications. And if you're